Your aquarium plants were doomed from day one. There are hidden problems that can make plants struggle from the very start, even when you feel like you are doing everything right. So today, I'll show you the real reasons behind melting leaves, weak growth, and plants that never take off, and how to finally give them a fair chance to thrive. Have you ever set up a new planted tank with lots of different species, only to realize after a couple of weeks that some of them just aren't thriving? A few plants look lush and beautiful, while others struggle, melt, or disappear completely. And it makes you wonder, if you were doing something wrong, wouldn't all of them look bad? The truth is, even with perfect parameters and nutrition, you can still run into this problem. And it all comes down to nutrient competition. Some plants naturally grow faster than others, and the faster they grow, the more nutrients they pull from the water. That leaves the slower growers with very little to feed on, and over time, they lose the battle. You might think the solution is to add more fertilizers, but that usually makes the fast growers explode even more, and the balance still isn't there. You could also trim the fast plants more often to keep them in check, but then you're doing constant maintenance, and the plants you are cutting back end up stressed too. What's interesting is that this competition problem is most obvious between plants of the same type: stem plants fighting other stem plants, or carpet plants fighting carpets. Similar plants usually need similar nutrients, so they end up competing directly. On the other hand, stem plants and epiphytes don't fight in the same way, because epiphytes like anubias or ferns need far less nutrition and can thrive alongside stems. The solution I found is to pay close attention to growth rate when choosing plants. If you're buying stem plants, pick ones with similar growth speed so none of them will completely outcompete the others. Not all aquarium plants can be planted the same way, and if you don't know the difference, that alone could be the reason your plants aren't thriving. A good example is the Amazon sword, which is what we call a rosette plant. Rosette plants grow all their leaves from a central base, and that base is called the crown. It's the part where the roots meet the leaves, basically the heart of the plant. When planting an Amazon sword, you only want to bury the roots, not the crown. If you push the crown under the substrate, it suffocates, rots, and the plant eventually melts. The way I like to avoid this is by tying the crown to a piece of hardscape that sits close to the substrate, whether that's a rock or a piece of wood. From there, the plant will naturally send its roots down into the substrate, and that eliminates the danger of burying the crown. And swords aren't the only ones you need to be careful with. Crypts and Vallisneria are also rosette plants, and they need the same care. Then you've got epiphytes like anubias, java fern, or bucephalandra, which can't have their rhizomes buried at all. The roots can attach to wood or rock, but if you bury the rhizome under soil or sand, it will rot. So knowing how to properly plant each type of species is critical. If your plants keep melting or looking unhealthy, the problem might not be your water, lighting, or fertilizers. It might just be the way they were planted. And if you guys are enjoying the video, remember to like and subscribe. It helps the channel grow and get to more people who love this hobby. One of the most common reasons aquarium plants struggle in the beginning has nothing to do with lighting or fertilization. It's unstable parameters. And this usually happens in the first weeks of a new aquarium. During that time, your water is constantly shifting, ammonia spikes, KH swings, CO2 is imbalanced, and plants simply can't adjust fast enough. To us, everything can look fine on a test kit, but what you don't see are the little ups and downs happening in between. Plants notice those changes even when we can't. And if they can't keep up, they melt, weaken, and you can end up with a total loss. Some plants are tougher and ride it out, but others are extremely sensitive to these swings. Bucephalandra is a great example. It's a beautiful plant, but it absolutely hates ammonia. Even trace amounts during cycling can damage it. And once it starts melting, it's very hard to bring it back. If you've ever added Bucephalandra to a brand new aquarium and wondered why it failed, that's usually the reason. That's why it's always better to wait until your tank is fully cycled before adding your plants, especially the delicate species. A cycled tank has stable parameters with ammonia and nitrate at 0, and nitrate showing up in safe levels. That stability gives plants the steady environment they need to root in, adapt, and start growing strong. If your plants are struggling right from the start, it might not be a lighting or fertilizing problem at all. It could just be that the tank wasn't ready for them yet. Let's talk about the tissue culture dilemma, because this is something I've dealt with more than once. I recently ordered a batch of Anubias Pinto, and every single one of them was a tissue culture plant. When they arrived, I couldn't believe how small they were, less than an inch each, and only one tiny plant per cup. For the amount of money I spent, it was really disappointing. And this isn't the first time it's happened to me. Every time I order tissue culture plants, I notice the same thing. They are very small. And the smaller and younger the plant, the more fragile it is. Sure, tissue culture is supposed to be better because there's no risk of pest or algae. And that part is true. But the trade-off is that you're starting with plants that are so delicate, they don't always make it. So that leaves you with a tough choice. Do you buy tissue culture plants and risk losing the whole batch because they weren't strong enough? Or do you buy regular plants and risk introducing algae and pests into your aquarium? There isn't a perfect answer here, and that's what makes it frustrating. What I've learned is that not all tissue culture plants are equal. Stem plants, carpeting plants, and some crypts can do really well once they get going. But epiphytes like Anubias, Java fern, or Bucephalandra almost always do worse as tissue cultures. They are just too fragile when they are that young. So if you're going to invest in tissue cultures, maybe skip the epiphytes and stick to the plants that bounce back faster. A problem I keep noticing is with aquarium lights that include a blue moonlight mode. Instead of turning the light completely off, some people leave it running overnight, not realizing that it's actually hurting the plants. Here's why. If a blue moonlight is left on after the main photo period, plants might still try to photosynthesize, but only at a very low efficiency. Since there's no full spectrum to support that process, the plant isn't gaining much energy at all. What's really happening is that the plant is being deprived of a true rest period, which it needs just as much as light. And this isn't just about plants. Fish also depend on a clear day-night cycle, and keeping the light on all night can stress them out too. It confuses their natural rhythm, and over time, that stress shows up in their health and behavior. If you're running CO2 injection, it gets even worse. At night, we all turn off the CO2 system, but with the moonlight still on, plants are tricked into trying to grow without the nutrition they need. That mismatch does more harm than good, and the end result is weaker plants that never get proper recovery. The best move is simple. Once your main photo period is done, turn the light completely off. Give both your plants and your fish the rest period they need to stay healthy long term. These are the kinds of overlooked details that can quietly hold your aquarium back from thriving. Let me know in the comments if you've ever run into one of these issues, or share the tricks that saved your plants so others can learn from it.